The following program may contain coarse language, violence, nudity, mature subject matter, or scenes which may not be suitable for all viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome to another night here in the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell, and for the next couple of hours, the next 4 hours, I'm your host and your guide as together we cross the time-space continuum to this place that I call the X Zone. It's a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. It's a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. And the X Zone comes to you Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. Eastern until 2 a.m. Eastern, right here on the X Zone Broadcast Network, Talkstar Radio Network, Mutual Broadcast Network, and on the X Zone TV channel, which is exclusive to Simul TV, channel 54 at www.simultv.com. Our first 2 hours, X Zone Nation, are going to be just out of this world. Our first guest this hour is going to be the psychic diva herself, ERICKA BOUSSARHHANE. And then in the next hour, you're not going to believe this, but this gentleman claims to be a whistleblower, and he's going to blow the whistle on the Chinese space program right here on the X Zone. It's going to be an interesting show, interesting hour. First hour, we have the psychic diva herself all the way from Pensacola, Florida.
Stations.
No, that's the wrong one, Craig. There we go.
Hi.
ERICKA BOUSSARHHANE. Hey, ERICKA, how have you been? It's been some time since you and I have chatted here in the X Zone.
It has been, and I was just remarking with you that you look the same. I need that fountain of youth that you have. I don't know what alien gave you the fountain of youth, but I need this.
Well, do you want me to share the secret with you?
Yes.
My beautiful wife, Laura.
Well, beautiful wife, Laura, rub some of that in my energy because he looks like the fountain of youth. And happiness does that to you. I can say that. Happiness looks good on you, Rob.
Well, you look very well yourself, my dear friend.
Thank you. I've been through some health things, came out winning, and I feel fabulous as well.
Well, I'm glad you're with us tonight. And for the listeners and the viewers who haven't had the opportunity of seeing you before or hearing you before here on our show, tell them about yourself.
Well, I am a psychic medium in Pensacola, Florida. I'm based in the Panhandle. So luckily, I didn't get any of the hurricane issues that just recently affected our state. So sending love and light and prayers to those families affected. But I started out in, psychology, as many of us empaths do, and eventually realized that I didn't like mental health that much. So I went into childcare and then closed those businesses and went full-time psychic medium. I am an interesting mix of the clairs. I see, I hear, I taste, I smell. I've got all of them, and they don't vary in degree. They're pretty much all strong. I've known people to be very clairvoyant. And then not clairaudient. I got a double dose, a super size of all of these things. So it's scary at times, but I wouldn't trade this for the world.
So tell me, do you come out from a family of psychics?
I do, and they're reluctant about it. My mom definitely, I would say, is very intuitive and psychic. My aunt is. We have had family members that have gone into law enforcement, I think, because they had the blue sense. One family member wanted to be a preacher because he had that same sense. So yeah, I do come from a long line of people that had that extrasensory perception, ESP, that most of us are familiar with.
And how long have you been doing what you do professionally now?
So I came out of what I call the psychic closet in 2004. And I know that I've been psychic all my life. I always say, when I came out of the womb, I was psychic, as we are. We communicate in telepathy first.
Yeah.
So do animals. And so we come out very psychic, and it's definitely society that says that's wrong, tuck that away. And so I believe that I definitely, as a child, knew things. I was a wise old soul as a child. But I officially came out and, said, hey, it is what it is. I am what I am, unapologetically psychic in 2004.
Have you found that society is more welcoming to psychics right now?
Yes and no. So I find that the paranormal, they're more welcoming to the paranormal because they have all of these different feelings of there's something else, and a lot of times people have had paranormal experiences. Psychics, not so much. I think that there might be a couple, like the ones that we see on television that we love, so much, that we've seen on shows, Tyler, Chip, Lisa Williams, the Long Island Medium, Teresa Caputo, and hopefully myself on a network television show really soon. We do Second Sight Paranormal. But the thing is with psychics is there's still that sense of skepticism. With the paranormal, it's a little different. You see a ghost, you've got the equipment. But with the psychics, because they can't see what we see in mind's eye, they can't hear what we hear. There is no scientific kind of like, here it is spit out on a machine. I think we still live in that stigma, because I have people that joke with me all the time. This is, well, if you were psychic, you would have known that. And that's not how it works. But yes, I feel that we are living proudly more, but the paranormal is more accepted. Psychics, we're still working on that for sure.
Listen, I understand you've written a children's book called Sam and the Boogeyman. Tell us about that, and congratulations.
Thank you. I'm working on an actual psychic development and kind of autobiography right now. But Sam and the Boogeyman started because, like most of us as children, we have psychic ability and we have interactions with what we would call the boogeyman, which really isn't the boogeyman. Oftentimes, your children are seeing ancestry. They're seeing people in the surroundings of maybe the house that you've purchased or that you live in or on the land. And so as a young child, when they have the cones in their eyes, able to see that different dimension and connect with them through telepathy before society again says, close those things. I find that children kind of see these things and they have these experiences. So my children were no strangers to the paranormal and psychic ability because, again, it runs in the bloodline, in the genes. So both of my sons had issues with the boogeyman and people shaking their bed and, things appearing to them that, I didn't want to appear at 2 years old. So we wrote that book. It was a family effort. It's actually a children's book. They picked out the names and the colors and the characters. And it was almost like them claiming their boundaries, their psychic boundaries, and me empowering them to find avenues and tools to use as a child, which actually ended up being a boogeyman spray and music, but to rid themselves of the unwanted psychic ability at that time that was, technically bothering them as a child. So the book is really about teaching your children how to rid them of the boogeyman, which is really just family, usually.
Exonation, our guest this hour is the psychic diva herself, and her name is ERICKA BOUSSARHHANE, and she's in Pensacola, Florida. And ERICKA, what was your first psychic experience? Can you remember that?
Well, I'll tell you one that is fun. I saw dead people, I think, all throughout my childhood. I remember sitting in the living room looking at mirrors that my mom had on the wall, and I'm obsessed with mirrors. People tell me I'm just a portal girl, but I have probably over 40, over 52 mirrors in my house right now. Wow. I love mirrors. So basically what I have found is that I would sit and scry in the mirror, and I would look and I would see other people behind me. Now that should have freaked me out at 7 and 8 years old, but it didn't, because I didn't know everybody wasn't like that. But there were also circumstances I know that I had premonitions and seen ghosts sitting on my bed. One particular gentleman had died. He was a dentist that my mom worked for, and I could see him sitting on my bed talking to me, realizing later on that the funeral that we went to, he should be sitting on my bed talking to me because we went to his funeral and he was dead. So there were a lot of things like that growing up. But I would say the biggest thing, honestly, was just being able to see things like auras around people, auras around the sun, having all kind of technical, electrical things happen to me. I never could wear a watch as a child because they would stop on me. So
well, listen, if that's for me, I'm not here.
Well, you just got famous, whoever you are. Okay.
Oh my heavens. Only on live radio and TV, right?
I know, right? There goes his confidentiality. I'm sure he's calling about the ghost tour. So, but yeah, so there were a lot of things. One of the things I loved seeing that I didn't actually know that people didn't see was when I would look at the sun, I could see the prisms, the DNA or the microscopic rays within the sun that most people couldn't see, the energy permeating from the sun and the rays. And I would see it as spectrums and rainbows, and it was pretty cool. I didn't know that nobody else saw this until one day I was saying, you know, like when you see the sun and you see, and people looked at me like, what are you talking about? I've had that happen to me often in my life. What are you talking about? We don't go out of body and see the, no.
So I would imagine that you really embraced your gifts and what you were able to see that others couldn't.
Well, it started out as a struggle because, you know, I lived in the Bible Belt and I was that Teens for Christ child. I was that, you know, don't play with the Ouija board, don't fool with this stuff or you're going to go to hell. I was that child. And it was only when I was in college, I think, that I fully embraced it initially because I would have dreams of cold cases when I would watch Unsolved Mysteries. And I would find that some of the things that I would see when I would watch on television were freakingly accurate. And so I started to kind of want to understand how to harness the ability because I felt like God gives us something. And maybe my gift was to figure out who had hurt these people on television. Sure. And so I started out with that, started to embrace it, started to find teachers and books, and I absorbed any and everything I could find online, tried to find local mentors, and not a lot of psychics want to share, you know, how they do what they do. Well, back then they did. Now you can find so much information online where people share, but that was pretty much the, yeah, you're going to do this. Let's do it. Let's get it done.
All right, Ericka, stand by. You and I have to take a break. X-Zone Nation, if you'd like to find out more about Ericka, visit the website, coldcasepsychic.com, and we'll both be back after the short break. Don't go away.
So I was watching the X-Zone TV channel last night when I was abducted by aliens, and they kept repeating to me over and over again, simultv.com, simultv.com.
What's simultv.com?
That's what I asked them. They had it written on the side of their UFO.
How do you spell that?
UFO.
No, I mean simultv.com.
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 Right. simultv.com.
Interesting that you were abducted by aliens in a simultv.com UFO last night.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Now that you mention it, I remember now last night I was awakened from a deep sleep. My great-grandmother was standing there. She said she come from the hereafter to tell me about simultv.com. She even spelled it out for me.
simultv.com, sonny boy.
simultv.com.
simultv.com, sonny boy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Guys, you'll never guess what my psychic guru just told me.
simultv.com.
Exactly. Are you guys psychic too?
Of course.
We all know about simultv.com. simultv.com.
ERICKA Boussarhhane is my special guest this hour, Exonation, and her website is coldcasepsychic.com. She's lovingly known far and wide as the Psychic Diva. Listen, I understand you bought a haunted house.
I did. I don't live in that house right now, but when I did buy it many, many years ago, I don't know what I was thinking. The house was right next to power lines. So that was a no automatic for cancer reasons. But as soon as I went in this house, I had to have it. My husband was driving over the road and I was the power of attorney, walked in, bought the house, didn't even question anything. And basically I realized once I moved in that it was super haunted. It had called to me. It wanted me to be there. And it pretty much did not torment us there, but it definitely did allow us to know that there were presences there. Everybody who came to that house, the people that would spend the night with me while he was over the road had experiences. I think I'm just haunted in general, but that house was extremely haunted.
Why did you buy it? And did it reignite any of the powers or any of the gifts that you had that you may have lost at a certain time in your life?
Yeah, because at that time I was in psychology and in childcare, and I really was not using the psychic ability. I had put it aside, was basically scared of it, you know. And so when I moved in this house, the whole reprogram of cold case girls, you know, all of that started to happen again. And I reluctantly started to meditate to see what is going on. Am I losing my mind? What, you know, we struggle with that. Am I crazy or am I psychic, you know, coming out, obviously. And so I started again to harness. I found Sandy Anastasia, a lot of different training online to re-tap into that ability that never goes away. We just kind of set it aside. And then I went down to the sheriff's department. I mean, I had some kahunas. I went down to the sheriff department and I said, look, I know you're probably going to think I'm crazy, but this is what I do. And I don't know why, and let me help. And so they were able to start giving me cases. It was the craziest thing. And I did cold cases for a long time. And that's why I kept, and I started out as cold case psychic. I would literally just work at my daycare center in the day and come home, hold clothing or jewelry of someone who was murdered or killed, and get impressions and record it and send it to the agency or the family member that had requested the reading. And I did all this free of charge. It was just what I thought I was supposed to do. Yeah. And
but
that's
tell me, how
ignited it again.
But how do you keep it separate? Like, you know, you must be inundated with psychic impressions and communications each and every minute that you're awake. So how do you kind of make time for ERICKA, the homemaker and the mom, and ERICKA, the cold case file psychic diva?
Well, that is a wonderful little octopus thing that you know, I call myself a serial entrepreneur, because one of those other things God gave me was the ability to juggle things. I can be juggling probably 6 or 7 different businesses right at this second. So I find that I'm bored easily. So that kind of aided to it. And I do find that the spirit world, because of the boundaries that I've set and the intent, they're not constantly bothering me. They're not constantly tapping on the third eye, as we would say, or giving me goosebumps or trying to get my attention. They're respectful. So I don't walk around open all the time. I do notice sometimes when I'm around people that I'll get goosebumps, or you can feel as a medium a presence. And then I have that choice whether or not I interact. And that's one of the things I like to tell people. You're not a victim to your ability. Learn to co-create it, learn to harness it, but learn boundaries, because the spirit world should respect your boundaries as you should respect the spirit world.
I fully understand what you mean when you say you get bored. If I'm not doing 4 or 5 things myself, it's like my wife says, concentrate on one thing, Robbie. And I can't. If I concentrate on more than one thing, well, I'll give you an example. In school, when I was just doing one subject, I would get lousy marks. But if I was allowed to do 2 or 3 different subjects at the same time, my marks would skyrocket.
Yes.
It's just like here at work. If you want to drive me crazy, just have me do one thing. And when I was in the police force, if they wanted to drive me crazy, all they would do is say, Rob, go to the filing. Rob, serial index these cards. And I was like, no. So I understand what being an octopus is like.
Yes.
Let me ask you something. You mentioned Ouija boards earlier, and I hear a lot of different pros and cons when it comes to a Ouija board. You being the psychic diva, what is your opinion of the psychic board and the Ouija board? And by the way, I love your little dog in the background. He's cute.
Thank you. That's Rocky. He's a male long-haired Chihuahua. So notice that he does have a band on because if he is unsupervised, he will mark territory to let me know who runs this house. And it's not me, obviously. So yeah, we love our little long-haired Chihuahua. But yeah, so I personally grew up with a mom that played with the Ouija board. I mean, it was just like having tea, a spot of tea every day. It was nothing, strange and unusual. And she talked with spirits with accuracy, and it would scare us sometimes because she used that to harness and tap into her own inner ability. I honestly think the Ouija board. Okay, so let me explain what that is.
Okay.
There is nobody on that side of my house, by the way, now that we're talking about the Ouija board. That is a motion detector. Whoa. That is a motion detector on the side of my house that nobody is at this moment. So let me say this. The Ouija board is not something that I use, but it is no different from any other divination tool if your intent is to openly contact any spirit without boundaries, protection. And what I find with the Ouija board is a lot of times when people use it, it's like a fun thing. It's like, ooh, I want to be scared. So then the intent with a crystal ball, with the stone, with any other, with bones, any other divination tool could be just as scary. But the reason why I think the Ouija board does deliver because we have the connotation of fear, and that fear in the spirit world is something that low vibrational energies feed in. So if you're using a Ouija board, and it doesn't even have to be a Ouija board, you can make a spirit board with paper, and I've done that before. I showed it in class with the stone and paper. And so it's like, ooh, I'm scared. Oh my gosh. And then that energy creates the energies around you to resonate and kind of multiply. And that's a lot of times why you get more of the low vibrational things, because of the fear that they're attracted to.
How come some people like yourself are very gifted as psychics, and your mom and so on, and yet other people, when it comes to psychic abilities, have those abilities of a rock? How come?
Well, I think my brain, as yours, our brains are wired so differently. I have tried for years to figure out how I can just think about being in your house, just think about it. And then I'm there, it's the craziest thing. I've never really understood, how I can remote view, from Pensacola or wherever I am. And, I look at artists. My mom is also an artist. So not only can she draw with such detail because of the way her brain is, but we're given all these abilities. And I think with the psychic intuition, a singer uses their ESP, their psychic intuition, to channel that emotion, that healing into the lyrics of a song or their presentation of a lyric. So I think that we all have this ability. We just use it in different ways. A cop, as you were and are always, you had a sixth sense, a blue sense. So you would meet someone, not really saying, hey, I'm a psychic, but I don't feel good about this, or I need to check this situation, or I need to look into this clue a little bit more, or I need to drive down this street. There is an inner knowing, that divinity within us that hints to us. So yeah, I think we all have it. And when those people, like you said, are kind of like a rock and they don't think they have it, it's just because they just don't know how they receive it, but they've got it.
Yeah, you're right. I used to get that gut feeling all the time, and it was accurate. I would say 99% time.
Yeah.
In fact, when I was a kid, I was coming home. I must have been about 9 or 10, and I was walking down the country road. We lived about 1.5 miles off the highway. And I got home, and my mom said, well, what's new with you? I said, well, I passed by Mrs. So-and-so's house, and she's pregnant. And my mother gave me a smack in the face. She said, you can't say that. She's not married. I said, well, I'm just telling you, you asked me. So my mother got on the phone, and she called up this lady, and she said, Pat, you've got to be very honest with me. Are you pregnant? Pat said, come on, I can't be pregnant. I'm not with anybody. I got another smack in the face. Well, about 6 months later, I was proven right. Mrs. B was in fact pregnant. And it seems that when you get the negativity from those you love and you trust, the gift, as I looked at it, starts to go away. Or is it that I was blocking it because I didn't want the negativity in my own life because of the gift? How do you perceive that?
Yeah, so fear can come in a lot of different ways. Most of us struggle with the mental illness, taboos of being intuitive, societal things, family, it's all of those things. So we put it away. So I think you put it away because there was a connotation, you were wrong. It wasn't about ego. Some of us is about ego, but no, it wasn't about ego. It was about love. It was about, I feel this in my soul. I don't know how, but this person that I'm giving this message to kind of is putting it away or doesn't believe. And so there's that feeling of, let me set this aside. Okay. And when you start to realize that there are more synchronicities, there are more things, you have that ability to help people, and it comes into a different form. Like you said, you're a serial entrepreneur as well, or business person. So that just tunnels into another avenue, but then you use it in business. You make a decision and it's that gut. So you're still using it. You're just harnessing it in a different way.
You and I have to take a break, but I'd like to let the Exo Nation know that during this little break, we're going to be featuring one of the new shows that we have here on the Exo Broadcast Network. It's actually it's a new network we're starting. It's called the Medical Research Broadcast Network. And in this clip, Dr. Michelle Rathbone, who is a neurologist and a professor of medicine at McMaster University, is giving a little bit of a insight into what concussions are. So I'd like you to just take a look. Let me know what you think. And our good friend ERICKA and I will be back on the other side of this break. And if you'd like more information about ERICKA, please visit her website. It's coldcasepsychic.com. And ERICKA, when we come back, do you think you can give me a mini reading?
I can. I was already getting something about real estate for you anyway. So yeah, sure. Let's do it.
Oh, I love real estate. Stand by, ERICKA. And thank you so much for taking time out of your, I know, very busy schedule to be with us here tonight. It's appreciated. Stand by, dear. Here we go, Exo Nation, to our break and our new network clip, Medical Research Broadcast Network, and their website is www.mrbn.org.
First of all, one must understand, as you said, that the skull is hard on the outside. There is a layer of fluid, and then the brain itself. The brain can slosh around a little bit in that fluid, so any bang on the skull is not transmitted directly to the brain, but through fluid. Now, in a concussion, there's a sudden acceleration as far as the brain is concerned, or deacceleration when the brain is struck by something, or when the head is moved rapidly to one side. And when I say rapidly, it's not a turn like that, it's usually a blow from a fist or something of that sort, or in a motor vehicle accident, a blow from the side. Now, what happens to the brain then is the brain will slosh forwards and backwards. It will stretch certain fibers. It will therefore become damaged, and a series of chemical reactions then take place. Materials released by the brain tissue itself start a series of events which cause inflammation in the brain, and that's quite important for the long-term outcome. Meantime, the brain itself really sits on, is rather shaped like a mushroom on a stalk. And as the brain goes forwards and backwards, it's the junction of the stalk and the cap of the mushroom part of the brain that gets damaged. And this is part of the brain that contains nerve cells that keep us conscious, reticular activating system. And that gets pulled and twisted in concussion and results in a loss of awareness.
Ta-da! Welcome back, ERICKA Boussarhhane, right? Boussarhhane? There we go.
Yeah.
Is our guest. She is the Psychic Diva. And after watching her for the first half hour of the show, you know why. And her website is coldcasepsychic.com. Thanks again, Eric. What did you think about Dr. Rathbone's clip?
You know, I was so focused on you during that time. It was really weird when he was talking about the head trauma. I could see a little version of you walking home from school or something. And I was talking to a lady, and I started jotting notes down because that's what I do. I almost like, it's almost like automatic writing. It just comes to me in the stream of consciousness, and I just have to write, because if I don't write it, I'll forget it. So that's how they work with me. They understand my multitasking brain. So usually when clients come to me, and I'll just kind of show you that, I'll start writing a list. So I just wrote your name really quick, and I just started writing words, and that's kind of, and then I go over that, and I just,
okay.
Yeah, weird.
All right. So let's do that.
Yeah, let's do it.
What do you see there? All right.
So the first thing I got with you was family. Family is being very important for you. And actually, family not even just being important, but there is some need to reconnect with family members that are lost. So this would be travel. I know you're in Canada or someplace far away from me, but this is also traveling back home. And home is not just Canada. This might be Europe or some other place. And this might be connected to your spouse. Because I feel like there's some DNA, there's some research, there's something that she's also supposed to reveal about her family life, okay? A little bit of secrets, not anything majorly bad, but there are some questions that for her that were not revealed maybe in death that she has some questions about, and there's genealogy and things like that, okay? Career for you is about multitasking too, but also stopping and smelling the roses, okay? So there feels to be some opportunities coming up for you where you will not only have this network, and I know you mentioned the one about medical, but this to me feels like a television platform expanding in different, I would say different educational opportunities. So it might just be television, but it would be some type of pay-per-view or some kind of pay per class or education, because it feels like a network similar to something I just kind of recently did something with. And there is a feeling of monetizing that in some way with training or summits or things like that. So that's something to think about. There's someone who's going to come to you with this idea of opportunity. And I feel like your wife has kind of talked about it before too, monetizing services on your website in some way.
Yeah, she sure has. Yeah, she sure has.
And there feels to be another person. This is a gentleman who's like marketing savvy. He's already got this going, and there's a partnership that happens with this. Okay. So new opportunities with career, new opportunities with partnership. And I flash back to this young boy walking. And when you were talking about, you know, hearing the lady was pregnant, I literally was passing this wooden house that looked blue on the outside for some reason, or gray. And then they were drawing me to this well, which I don't know why, but I was some kind of way afraid of it. And I was you. And then I saw a cat, and then I saw your mom, and just that whole scenario. And I was on hardwood floors too. And I had to go, when I was walking up the house, I had to go up some stairs to go level. And then I went in the house. And I just felt like this female, the mom who felt to be your mom and passed, had been visiting you over time. She felt past. And I felt that grandmother, which would be her maternal mom, had also visited you too, but she was more of a sign of birds and things. And she was taking, that's when I went to England or something that felt like England. And I was in this big house. I felt like I was in your house, or a house that you're supposed to buy. And I was out in the backyard, and I could see like English flowers and garden. It was just like a beautiful thing. And I was like, oh my God, I want to be here. And there was a need for you to buy this country home. And this might have something to do with your wife too. And it felt like a family home that you'd lived in before. And I felt like I was in Europe or in the countryside. It was just really, really beautiful. And there was almost that Spanish moss, or that kind of like green stuff that grows on the walls, you know, the brick. Yeah. That was that too. I could see that. And the English flowers were very important. And there might be a lattice or some kind of archway too, because I felt like I could go out there and just relax because I had beat it. So this was maybe some type of I don't want to say health issue, but you know, this was the reflection of getting the second win, or the second opportunity in life, and having to live. Remember, I said stop and smell the roses. So it was almost, you went through something. You were going to buy this place or live in this place and be happy and enjoy these flowers and the whole living lifestyle that you'd always manifested and wanted. And then the mom lady too, when I had got her, I felt like I didn't say goodbye to her. And this was very important, because this is why she would visit you, because there was a need for her to let you know she was okay. And then I went to, I would say, your spouse, which was a whole different person, which was interesting. I got an animal, not a person. And I felt like I was, a lot of times when they show me cremation, they show me the place of the cremation. They'll take me to a shelf, or they'll tell me it's a cat or a dog. And I could see multiple things, so not just one cremation. So there might be like 1, 2, 3, or some kind of boom, boom, boom. And it felt more connected to her for some reason, your wife, and to let her know that her intuition is on point. She does speak to this male who is in her home, who could be her father. He does visit her, and I wanted to tell her happy birthday, because I forgot to write the birthday. So there might be some birthday and some travel that she needs to do also going back home. Tell her to write, because she's journaling already. I don't know if this is a memoir or whatever, but she's to write and to continue that, and reveal the stories of her family. Tell the stories. There are some remarkable people that are pioneers that did some remarkable things, and their legacy shouldn't die. She should talk about them. Okay. That's what I got.
All right, I'm going to critique what you just told me.
Okay.
Number one, the house that this lady lived in was in fact light blue.
Okay.
Let me see here. When you walked up the few stairs into my house, you're right, they were hardwood floors. My mother did pass during COVID, and I never got to say goodbye. My grandmother was very close to me, and I've always felt her near to me, especially in times of hard times. Let me see here. My wife does journal, and you are right on with everything.
Well, thank you.
Now, I must say, in all fairness and honesty, you are one of the very, 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 very few that has done such a job doing this reading. I'm amazed.
Thank you. I don't know, like we talk about how we do these things. I've always known that I was different. I mean, I've always known it. And I've learned to embrace my difference because I remain humble, but I know that there are a few people like me. I have people tell me all the time, they're skeptical, but when I write it out, like I write it out, you know, literally, before they even say anything, and I can just channel whatever it is, and it just comes so quickly. They're like, I'm a believer now. I know that you're talking to my loved one. You've helped me not want to hurt myself because my child died. So I take this responsibility very seriously, and I feel so grateful to be able to interact with the spirit world and help people.
By the way, the man that visits her is her brother who passed away several years ago. So there you go. Excellent. I must say, and once again, I don't say this very often, I'm impressed.
Thank you. Thank you.
You and I have to take our final break. When we come back, we'll wrap up this hour. And I want you to tell us about your TV show that you're working on. Yes. That's when we come back, right here with our very special guest, the psychic diva herself, ERICKA Bousssarrhane. There, I finally said it right. And her website is coldcasepsychic.com. I'm Rob McConnell. Don't go away. We're back. ERICKA, tell me about the TV show you're working on.
So we started, you know, I have been through every network probably on television, you know, pitched for a show, my own show, and it just never seems to come to fruition. So out of frustration and being that multitasker, build it yourself, you know, and so we created Second Sight Paranormal. It is a team where I'm the medium. We go to haunted locations. I do my walkabout. I, you know, feel what I feel. I talk to the spirits that we encounter. And then my team consists of a pilot, an attorney, criminal justice majors, a cop, real estate agents. We have such a diverse team. And I love that we're logical, yet we are skeptic, yet we're very psychic. And the goal is to get a major television network deal. And it has been difficult. You know, I don't want to say this, but it's kind of, you don't see a lot of people like me in the paranormal on television. And I've had people say, I have never met a real medium like you. And I know a lot of mediums because I've like literally scared some people with what I can do. It's crazy. So I would like that opportunity. That's the goal, is to get me on a network television to show that being like me, African-American and psychic, is a wonderful thing, to embrace that gift.
What was your take on television psychics and mediums like Madame Cleo?
You know, that was just such a disheartening thing for me. You know, as a job, I understand it. As a marketing tool, I understand it. But I think it set a tone for every other show after that. You know, when I grow up seeing myself on television, it was voodoo, it was evil, it was bad. It wasn't just some normal lady who has children, you know, sons with 5.89 GPAs and, you know, very intelligent and, you know, going here and doing this thing. It wasn't anything scary. It was just every day. It was simple. It was harness this ability because we all have it. It's not, ooh, you know? So I grew up seeing that and, you know, the exorcists and all these other negative connotations that made me not want to be who I am. Now I don't care. Bring it on. And I definitely want to be able to show other people like me, people of color, not just people of color. There are people that are Caucasian and all nationalities that are afraid of your abilities. I make it safe. Okay. That's the goal. Tap into it. It's safe.
But why do they fear your abilities? You're a nice person.
Well, I've got that Boussarhhane or Boussarhhane, that New Orleans. You know, I have so many people that think I'm from New Orleans. It's funny. They think I'm going to put a hex on them or put some voodoo spell on them or something. My husband is actually from Morocco, you know, and so this French, I'm not even French Canadian or I'm not even French Creole. I'm just African American, born and raised in Pensacola. But people see my name, they look at me and they assume that I am just the incarnate of Marie Laveau, you know?
My gosh.
Yeah, so I think people fear me in that way. And then when I do the things they don't understand because I've been talking on the radio and you know, I'll say, well, that dead person is in your bathroom right now. And they'll say, wait, I'm in my bathroom. You can see me in my bathroom. I said, no, I don't see you. It's, oh God. Yeah, I freak people out.
Listen, the time has come when you and I must say so long for now. But before we go, what are your final thoughts that you'd like to share with the X-Zone Nation tonight, Ericka?
Well, I want to just let everybody know, 2019, I was a recipient of a kidney transplant by a deceased donor because I do have polycystic kidney disease. So I want everybody to know I'm so grateful of that. I want everybody to know about Second Sight Paranormal. My team watch us on your wonderful streaming networks. And if you are interested in learning more about me, check out coldcasepsychic.com.
Ericka, thank you so much. Can we do this again?
Oh, most definitely.
I'd love it. Take care of yourself. My very best to you, your husband, and your team. And I look forward to the next time you and I meet here in the X-Zone. So until then, my friend, take care.
Take care. Thank you.
Bye-bye now. X-Zone Nation, our guest this hour has been ERICKA Boussarhhane, and her website is coldcasepsychic.com. I'll be back at the top of the hour. So while you're waiting for us, we're going to be playing parts of the X-Zone TV show as a little bit of a teaser. So you can go to simultv.com, sign up, and go to channel number 54 and watch it for yourself. I'm Rob McConnell. Don't go away.